course of his evolution. Man has familiarized himself with the laws of nature. He has learned how to deal with the unrestrained strength of the elements. And he has learned to exploit the wealth of natural resources. With the discovery of fossil fuels, man invented his own mobility. However, the potential for danger is high when storing and transporting explosive goods. Dealing with them responsibly has become one of the major challenges of our times. Solutions and new technologies are in demand. New targets are set to meet ecological and economic needs. And new products researched and invented, such as excess.
Whenever explosive liquid or gaseous materials are processed or transported, there's a certain risk of accident. Minimizing this risk is the underlying thought that led to the development of excess. Excess is a highly effective alveolate material in aluminium, which prevents explosions in fuel tanks mechanically, physically, and hence passively. Excess comes in several forms, as a finely meshed grid, or in the easy-to-handle, practical, cylindrical form. In this way, excess can also be filled into existing tanks without any problem. The most outstanding features of excess are its high quality and the excellent ratio of weight to volume. Moreover, excess is maintenance-free, entirely recyclable, and especially after thorough cleaning, reusable. Its application field is varied and makes the handling of explosive materials considerably safer.
On October 31st, 2000, a jumbo jet from Singapore Airlines crashed just after takeoff. 80 of the 178 passengers lost their lives in this disaster. During the takeoff maneuver, the airplane collided with a construction machine standing on the runway. The airplane exploded as a result of the collision.
If the jumbo's tanks had been equipped with excess, the collision would most certainly have had less tragic consequences. This is because excess greatly reduces the high risk of explosion from the mixture of fuel and air in a tank, thereby even preventing explosion. This example illustrates the problem. A standard 20-liter petrol can filled with fuel is warmed up for 90 seconds and then shot at to simulate damage to the outer cover as a result of pressure. The reaction is just as destructive as with the jumbo disaster in Taipei. A second can is equipped with excess. After the shooting, the petrol burns out under control and there is no explosion. Every year, around 40,000 vehicles catch fire on German roads alone. The application of excess is therefore important in the automotive industry. When a vehicle catches fire, excess can considerably reduce the risk of explosion and thereby decisively contributes to the safety of the passengers. The addition of excess in extreme driving circumstances was tested and found to be highly effective. The safety of the passengers in the case of an accident is increased significantly. Today, not only celebrities and national leaders profit from this security, but also the shipping industry and the Army. Even repetitive shooting with high-caliber incendiary ammunition did not result in tanks exploding during tests.
In 1976, a catastrophe of huge proportion took place on the Costa Dorada in Spain. A lorry full of propane gas bottles left the road, diving into a camping site. The lorry caught fire. Most of the gas bottles exploded. Around 200 people were killed in this disaster, and just as many were seriously injured.
Approximately 1/5 of all road and rail traffic consists of so-called hazardous freight, most of it being liquid or gaseous. We specialists often call this kind of transport a time bomb, as the potential for danger is massive. Precisely here, excess offers a high degree of security and reduces the risk of explosion to virtually zero in the case of an accident with this kind of transport. During a field experiment, the devastating effect of the explosion of a propane gas bottle is clearly evident. It's heated quickly and then shot at to simulate the damage to the outer cover as a result of excessive pressure. With excess, the reaction is considerably more controlled. The escaping gas slowly burns out as a flame.
Zurich, Switzerland. A tank lorry tips over while rounding a bend in the center of town and explodes. Initial investigations reveal the cause, the so-called slosh effect.
When tank chambers have only been partially filled, braking or driving around bends can cause the liquid being transported to slosh from one side to another. This could make the vehicle tip over. The danger of this type of accident could be greatly diminished by using excess. Having a tank filled with excess is like having a tank divided up into small sub-tanks. Now, if the liquid moves to and fro in a tank filled with excess, its movement will be slowed down and dramatically reduced. The results from these tests are of great benefit to the automotive industry as well. The undesirable noises caused by the slosh effect can be quite simply eliminated by using excess. Besides increasing safety, this will also make driving more comfortable. New developments in the automotive industry guarantee additional safety for passengers. While active security systems help prevent accidents, passive systems contribute to reducing the consequences of accidents. Extensive tests have been carried out at the Mechanical Institute of the Technical University of Graz in Austria. The results from placing various containers under artificial pressure are amazing. When a tank filled with excess is damaged from the outside, the internal pressure is considerably reduced by excess. In other words, the tank's stability is increased by approximately 30 to 50%. This greatly increases the passive security of vehicles. It's hard to imagine life today without fossil fuels. But there's a price to pay for mobility and prosperity. The pressures on the environment are dramatically increasing. Even the problem concerning the emission of easily volatile organic compounds is becoming bigger. This is particularly applicable to aromatic hydrocarbonic compounds, for instance, carcinogenic benzene. It's presumed that in Europe alone, approximately 850,000 tons of volatile fuels escape into the air each year through refueling and spills. Many manufacturing plants, for example in the varnish and paints industry, have to face not only an ecological, but also an economic problem with the evaporation of hydrocarbon. Excess offers the ideal solution here too. Tests were carried out on plastic containers filled with excess at the physics institutes of the Technical University of Graz. The amounts evaporated were reduced by approximately 30 to 60%. In conclusion, excess has the same effect as a lid perforated with lots of small holes. The following test best explains this. The same amount of water is poured into two identical vessels until the boiling point is reached. When the water temperature is measured in both vessels, the one filled with excess indicates a higher temperature. With the dissipation of heat through excess, the boiling point climbs permanently, reducing the evaporation or emissions. It's very difficult to extinguish a fire in a fuel tank, As a result of the high temperatures, the petrol evaporates, burning into a large smoky flame. This is not the case with a tank protected by excess. By withdrawing the heat and reducing the oxygen supply, only a small flame forms in the excess-free border area. A revolutionary development in modern firefighting. This kind of fire is absolutely under control and can be simply extinguished. Thanks to excess, it's possible to work on fuel barrels. This would not be the case under normal circumstances. Here too, excess can help reduce risk factors in everyday life. Petrol stations are potential trouble spots. Until now, shafts around the tanks inserted in the ground were often filled with sand to prevent explosions from the concentrated mixture of fuel and air. But when an accident occurred, the damage was often immense.
But the problem is we know some of the people that are in there. There was no small explosions, it was just one big one.
A regulation in some European countries has now become the norm. The shafts around the petrol stations have been equipped with excess, thereby eliminating the risk of explosion. Excess has a great advantage. It's quick to fill and easy to remove, and it's reusable, not like sand or gravel. Excess offers the ideal solution. It can protect existing tank installations without any problem. When a tank is equipped with excess, only 1.5% volume is lost. This is more than compensated for by the fuel stabilizing and less foam forming when filling up. And the low weight of excess allows it to be used where every gram counts. By using excess professionally when handling and storing liquid and gaseous materials, the risk of fire and explosion is greatly reduced. Thus, the security of people, goods, and the environment is considerably increased. We humans have got to know the laws of nature and have learned to use the resources of nature. We've made important inventions that alleviate our lives and ensure us prosperity and mobility. And we've learned to be responsible for the security of our fellow humans and the protection of the environment. In this context, excess is an indispensable partner.